Hello, Classic Crew, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about 5 ways to have a classic Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. It's an amazing time to spend with family and reflect on the things that we're grateful for, and the food is great, although I will say I'm not a fan of turkey, so let me know in the comments. Do you like turkey? Are you not a fan of turkey? I feel like it's a very polarizing topic. Personally, not a huge fan, but stuffing is great, and pecan pie is amazing. Also, leave in the comments whether you say pecan or pecan or pecan. I don't remember how many ways there are to say pecan, but I say pecan pie. That's how I say it. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that. But in any case, I think that we can have a very classic Thanksgiving. There are ways that we can make Thanksgiving feel even more special and embrace the tradition of the holiday. And that makes the holiday feel so much more fun and so much more memorable. So I really want to talk about 5 ways that we can embrace the tradition of the holiday and make it even more classic by using these 5 techniques and tips. So before we get into today's video, are you subscribed to my channel yet? Are you? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit that notification bell so you can get notified when my videos go up. That's the only way you'll know when new videos go live. And also make sure to subscribe to my Substack newsletter. Now, I'm definitely going to have to do a video on my channel about what my Substack newsletter is. For those of you who keep hearing about it but don't know what I'm really talking about, but the Substack newsletter is awesome, and it would mean a lot to me if you guys chose to support me there. So either get it for yourself as a gift for the holidays or get it for someone who you think would love it. But if you join, you'll get a ton of exclusive content and stuff that you won't get access to anywhere else. So now that we're through that, let's get into today's video. The first way to have a more classic Thanksgiving is to actually think about what you're grateful for. I think a lot of the time we get wrapped up in the situation of Thanksgiving, the fact that there's so much family around and there's a lot of preparation to do, but we don't remember what Thanksgiving is really about, which is thinking about the things that we're grateful for and that we're thankful for. And that is probably my favorite part of Thanksgiving. Besides the wonderful food and the wonderful family, it's also about remembering what you're grateful for and thinking about those things. And it's a way to reflect on the best things that have happened to you over the course of the year. So, for example, this year, I could definitely go down a path of thinking about the many awful things that have happened. But Thanksgiving asks me to reflect on all the wonderful things that have happened. I'm pregnant. We have a roof over our heads. We can afford to eat. We have good friends. We are very, very lucky people. And it just is such a wonderful way to remember that we really do have what we need. And that's such a wonderful thing to remember and to reflect on. And it is funny to go from Thanksgiving to Black Friday, where you're thankful for some things and then immediately shopping for all the stuff that you think you need. But it's funny, my family's never been Black Friday people, so I've never felt like I've needed anything on Black Friday. Of course, if there are things you need on Black Friday, get them. And being grateful doesn't mean that you can't recognize the hardships or the things that you do still need. But it is also just such a good reminder and such a classic thing and such a wonderful way to embrace tradition, to reflect on the things that you are so happy to have and that we are lucky to have. So I did a podcast on my Substack about how you can actually be more grateful. I did a whole podcast, 3 ways that you can be more grateful before Thanksgiving. And if you're interested in listening to that, make sure to subscribe to my Substack newsletter, because I put some thought into ways that you can start incorporating the practice of being grateful into your life. Number 2 is to cook with family and friends. Now, if you are hosting at your house, or even if you're going to someone else's house, ask if you can cook with other people. Cooking is such a wonderful way to bring people together. And I know that from personal experience and kind of from my mother's example, we didn't really ask people to cook with us growing up. My mom would ask the kids, but we didn't have families come over and cook together. And I still am not the best about asking for help when I'm cooking, but I've been thinking a lot more lately about how much I would love to cook with friends and to make it into a kind of process that we share. And that to me is such a classic, beautiful thing, to be able to work together to create something that you can all enjoy. And just kind of moving around the kitchen and enjoying each other's company and preparing food together is one of the most beautiful things that we can do. So on Thanksgiving, whether you're hosting or someone else is, either ask people that you love to come over and help make it into a day, or ask the hostess if she'd be comfortable with you coming over to help. Because not only is it a kindness, not only are you giving her the gift of another set of hands, but it's also kind of a way to elongate the festivities of the day. Because now you're not showing up at 3 o'clock and eating, you're showing up at noon and helping prepare. And I think that that is such a lovely way to embrace Thanksgiving, to make it feel really tender and loving, and even feel more classic. Number 3 is make your favorite pie. I associate Thanksgiving with pie. I don't think I eat pie like any other time of the year, but Thanksgiving is pie day. And if you're gonna have pie, make it your favorite. Now, there are a ton of pies that people love. I personally only like one, and I know that that sounds funny, but I'm not a fan of most pie. I know there's lemon meringue, there's key lime, there's pumpkin, which is very seasonally appropriate, and there's apple pie, but I only like pecan pie. But whatever you like, take the time to prepare it. Now, you can buy a ready-made crust at the store. That's what my mom always did growing up. But recently I've been considering trying to make my own crust rather than purchase it. Make the pie something like the centerpiece of the meal. And even though it's the dessert, even though turkey is the shining star of the day, pie is such a unique thing that we have that really I look forward to all year. So if you can make a pie that you love and that you know people around you will love, take the time to do that. Find something you love. Maybe ask other family members which ones they like. That's what my mom always did. She would always make 2 or 3 different kinds of pie. She would always make pumpkin and apple and pecan. And I just thought that was really special. So making pie is such a classic thing to do for this holiday. Definitely take advantage of Thanksgiving to enjoy some pie. Number 4 is if you are the one hosting, make sure to make everyone feel at home. And if you're not the one hosting, make sure that you are helping the hostess. Something I really want to start doing more is hosting dinner parties and taking joy and pleasure in setting up the eating space. I love tablescapes. I love the way that people decorate their tables to host. And I would love to start incorporating that practice into my own practice when I host. So it doesn't mean I'm gonna have a million different kinds of plates. I know some people will literally buy like different settings. I mean, who can afford that? But just like finding some pretty things to throw on the table and always making it look really decorative and inviting, I think is such a beautiful way to enjoy it myself, take joy in that beauty of decorating, but it also makes my guests feel like, wow, you really took the time to prepare. You really wanted us to be here and you were ready for us to be here. And making your guests feel at home on the holiday is the best thing ever. So one way to do that is to create a beautiful tablescape. Doing something like that, like the decorations I have behind me, that will really make people feel ready for the holiday and feel welcomed. Another thing you can do is have good beverages for people to drink. Whether that mean that you have alcoholic beverages that people can enjoy or just some seltzers and sparkling cider, that can make people feel like, wow, they had drinks on hand. It's not just a spur of the moment thing that they invited us. Now, are there times that you can have a wonderful event where it is spur of the moment? Absolutely. I do that very often. But it is also really, really nice to have something that you've prepared for and you've planned for. And Thanksgiving is like the perfect holiday for that because there's so many things you can buy decor-wise that will make it feel really special, and also things that you can do to prepare in advance. So making sure that you have those drinks on hand is another way you can make sure people feel really welcomed in your home. And the last thing that you can do if you're hosting people is make sure that you have a few little snacks for people to kind of have throughout the evening, because usually Thanksgiving is a pretty long day. So it's not just the meal and then people leave. Usually it's the meal followed by hanging out, watching something, and having those snacks on hand, whether that mean you're going to make a charcuterie board later in the afternoon. I would make the kosher version without the cured meats. Or if you just want to have a few like pretty chocolates and some pretzels or popcorn, stuff like that, just to make sure that everyone stays full. Now, if you aren't the one hosting, which I think many of us are not, I'm not hosting personally, make sure that you ask the hostess what you can do to help. So if that means setting the table, if that means helping with the food, like I mentioned earlier, if that means helping clean up afterward, just being somebody who they can depend on and they can look to you to help make everyone feel at home. That is a really lovely thing to know that you can ask someone to help you, and of course you'll be ready to do it. And it is very classic, and it does embrace the tradition of being thankful that someone else is hosting, that you get to be in their house and participate in this holiday. Last but not least, at the end of this holiday, set up for the next holiday so the festivities can continue. So if you are Christian and you are celebrating Christmas, make sure at the end of Thanksgiving, it might be nice to just set up that Christmas tree right that weekend. So there's this kind of flow from Thanksgiving into the Christmas season, if you haven't already set up your Christmas tree. But just making sure that you don't have that little bit of like down after a big holiday. I think that's very common, is this feeling of like, oh, there was all this buildup, and then you're like, your emotions kind of fall down. But if you recognize that the next thing that's coming is another holiday, then you can set up right afterwards, and it gives you another thing to look forward to. If you're Jewish, this year, Hanukkah is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, which is super early in the year. So setting up for Hanukkah right after Thanksgiving is a really beautiful thing to do as well. You can pull out your decorations or pull out your Hanukkah, your menorah, and start to set that up so that you, again, are looking forward to another holiday. And something I really love about this as a concept is that it does kind of prevent that emotional down that you might experience after such a big holiday, because you are just ready and excited for the next thing. So those are my 5 ways to have an incredibly classic Thanksgiving. Let me know in the comments what you think. If there's anything that you're doing for Thanksgiving this year that you think is really classic, I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you aren't already subscribed to my channel and notification bells and Substack newsletter and all that stuff, make sure to do it right this second. And as well, if you're not following me on social media, it's Classically Abby, absolutely everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. You can find me everywhere. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!